Good morning, you beautiful people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. This week, an article on Kotaku came out talking about working conditions for QA testers at Treyarch and the Black Ops 4 development cycle, and kind of giving us more details about what happened during its development cycle. If you'd like to read the article yourself, the link will be in the description. I highly recommend it. So let's start with the QA testers. A big emphasis for this article was the mistreatment of its QA testers. They were told to park in a different section of the parking lot than regular developers. They were told they can't be friends with developers, they can't have relationships with them, they can't speak to them, they can't go to the same parties more than 20 minutes with them. You know, they can't have that open relationship with the developers. On top of that, they aren't getting bonuses like developers do, and they're only making a little bit more than minimum wage, which in Los Angeles, where it's really expensive to live, it's really difficult to pull that off on minimum wage, which is kind of dreadful. On top of that, of course, they were working crazy hours. They were working 12-hour shifts on and then 12-hour shifts off, 12-hour shifts on and off, and that is just excruciating and an absolutely horrible work environment. And of course, this meant that there was some anger and resentment towards the developers from the QA testers, and it seemed like the QA testers felt like they were second-class citizens, and they felt the developers were above them in terms of, whatever the case may be. They didn't feel respected. And this whole ordeal is just kind of a mess, it sounds like. And I'll tell you the solution here because it should be logical, right? Here's the thing. When you have QA testers, they are, especially for a AAA studio like Treyarch and for a huge game like Call of Duty, there is an importance. There are two important things that I feel like Treyarch and Activision want to get right. Number one thing, they want a polished game. Everybody wants to have a clean and polished game that's bug-free and works properly. Black Ops 4, not so bug-free, not so polished in any way. And we'll get to why that is later, but that is one of the jobs of the QA testers, to make sure they find all the bugs, squash them and all that, and report them back to the developers. Number two, they want no leaks. They want everything to be a surprise. They want everything under control. These are the two most important things for a QA tester to do, at least from an outside point of view. I don't know. I'm not a QA tester and I don't really know. I'm kind of just going off of what I know. So when you put that much responsibility on QA testers, maybe you should pay them a little bit more. I mean, it sounds like they have a big responsibility to almost kind of represent us, represent the guest, the consumer, the customer, and kind of give that feedback before, the community has to give that feedback and make videos about blue screens, and that's just chaos. That was the Black Ops 4 post-launch cycle. And giving them more money will also prevent them from perhaps quitting their job and leaking everything about all of the zombies secret quest stuff and upcoming maps and whatnot. That's just as a random example. That could be something somebody may have done or may do if they're unhappy with their working conditions. But I feel like giving them more money, kind of securing that responsibility, would allow them to obtain more, leak prevention, I guess, and it would perhaps help them find bugs better and kind of secure them as a part of the team a little bit more. Now, I know this is a catch-22. Like, I've been through this sort of stuff with management at my job. If you pay them more, they'll do a better job. Well, I'm not going to pay them more until they do a better job. And it's just this downward spiral where somebody has to break the cycle. And I used that completely unironically. That was on accident, I promise. And I completely understand. If you're paying all those QA testers $1 an hour more, they're going into overtime every week. They're working 12-hour shifts. So that is a huge thousands and thousands of dollars bigger of an expense, which may or may not help you out in the long run. So I completely understand that business side of it. But especially with the way Black Ops 4 is, with all the leaks and that QA tester leak, it might be something that could be useful to consider. It sounds like, to me, they need to completely overhaul their system of hiring or working with QA testers entirely, because the long hours, the low pay doesn't seem like it's a working combo right now. On the other side of the story, I kind of understand the isolation aspect of QA testers. I kind of understand why they're not allowed to be friends with developers. I kind of understand why they're not allowed to talk to developers or go to the parties or eat lunch with the developers or that sort of stuff, because they want to kind of isolate the QA testers for a couple of reasons. Well, one, of course, obviously preventing leaks. You don't want that information just to go out willy-nilly and all that stuff. But second of all, you want a good scientific method. You want a good scientific study of, here's the game, here's the map, here's the thing we want you to test. Go test this out about it. And if you bias them in any way and just kind of in casual conversation mention, oh, we're having trouble on this, we're working on that, it could bias those QA testers in a certain way that may not be useful for the game itself. So that aspect I kind of understand. It's the poor work environments where it just brings me just so much dread, because I completely understand what that's like. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, my work was going through a tough time and I had to work a measly like 50 to 55 hours for like maybe 4 or 5 weeks. And it was like the worst month and a half of my life. It was just so grueling and excruciating and horrible. You'd work, go to sleep, come back, work again. You know, like it's just so unfun and unfulfilling. And when you have that sort of work environment, especially when you're making what's supposed to be a piece of art, what's supposed to be something that's passionate and creative. You know, you're irritable when you're tired, you're angry, you're more restless, you're less creative, you're less motivated to do work, and it's just, people need their time to be healthy, and this is not a healthy work environment in any sort of aspect, not just for the QA testers, but also for the developers. You have a motorcycle, you're cool. So that would also be something that I would work to alleviate if I were an Activision or a Treyarch studio head or whatever. And also that kind of ties into a video that I wanted to do about why Call of Duty should stop releasing every year. I'm working on it, but if they had a year break, if they had some time to just relax and kind of work that creative juices back again, like that could be game changing for the franchise. But now let's kind of shift gears here and talk about the development of Black Ops 4. Because apparently Treyarch had been lying to us. They've been lying because they had said, oh, we X the campaign because no one plays the campaigns. You know, like 20% of every Call of Duty player plays the campaign and all that stuff. And apparently that's just false. That's just what they said, because apparently they had been working on a campaign for years, and it was supposed to be this unique and interesting and different campaign, a 2v2 sort of campaign, which if it's 2v2, is it just not multiplayer at that point? I don't know. That's just weird to me. Apparently QA testers didn't like it, Activision didn't like it, said it was boring, repetitive, and they scrapped it. But they scrapped it in like late 2017. And they only begun thinking about a battle royale game mode because of, you know, a lot of the developers were playing PUBG and liked it. And so they started Blackout early 2018. Guys, early 2018 is when Black Ops 4 released. So that means Blackout was made in like 9 months. That's insanity. Talk about crunch time. All of that stuff that I said earlier about the working conditions and the creativity and the motivation and the irritability, just amplify that, all of that work. And here's another thing the article said. In Black Ops 3, apparently that campaign was supposed to be like an open world campaign. It was supposed to be open world, and again, QA testers, Activision didn't like it. They said, nope, that's not great. So they turned it into, or they scrapped a lot of it, and they turned it into a traditional Call of Duty campaign, which kind of, I don't know, that kind of makes sense. That makes more sense with the Black Ops 3 campaign of how just weird it was. It just felt weird. It didn't feel right. So that kind of makes that make more sense. And what they said after Black Ops 3 is that they said, we won't ever want to do that again. We don't ever want 2 years of work to go down the trash, because they scrapped a lot of what Black Ops 3 campaign had, and then they did it again. Black Ops 4's campaign completely scrapped 2 years worth of work just gone. It was going to be like a sequel to Black Ops 3. It was going to be some post-apocalyptic stuff, and just, man, that just weighs so much on me. 2 years of your hard work and dedication just gone. Oh my goodness, that's insane. I mean, it puts everything into perspective now. I mean, that's why multiplayer feels so barren. That's probably why, not just multiplayer, but I feel like the whole game doesn't feel polished. Probably because instead of those 9 months being dedicated to Blackout, a game mode they didn't even know they were going to do, they would probably be spending it on just tweaking and making it more polished and fixing the HUDs and the UIs and making the menus better and just all of the stuff, fixing the blue screens. And all of that time, all of that dedication had to stop, and they had to give people to Blackout. They had to give all of their quality people to Blackout, and then just kind of hope for the best. Hopefully it gets done by October. You know, that's probably why we don't have factions yet. Or I don't know, that's a whole different can of worms. I don't know, I'm not going there yet. But that's also why, in my opinion, I feel that Zombies is the most polished game mode in Black Ops 4, because it sounds like even before Black Ops 3 was done with, Jason Blundell had an idea. Craig Houston, they knew exactly what they wanted from Black Ops 4. They were going to overhaul everything. The perks, the weapons, the points, the zombie AI, everything about Zombies is different. And I can honestly say that I really feel like those things are sort of polished, in my opinion, more polished than, you know, some of the stuff we have in Blackout and multiplayer for sure. And the plethora of maps and game modes and just options we have in Zombies makes it feel like the Zombies team really understood exactly what they wanted and they followed through with it. Yet in the campaigns, in the multiplayer, and in the Blackout, that's just 9 months, that was where all the chaos and anarchy was, and perhaps that took tools away from the multiplayer side, took tools away from just every little detail that we're missing. Why is post-launch content so weird? Why is this not the most updated game that they promised? Why are all these promises being made empty now? And why is this just chaos happening? It's because this development was just pure and utter chaos. Again, I did not mean to do that on purpose. As I was reading this article, I was just overwhelmed, like literally overwhelmed with despair. Just like to think about that working environment and to try to create something, you know, like I've had that stressful work environment at work, but also to like take that environment and to put it onto something creative. Oh my goodness, like to have that expectation, to have that stress, the article literally says they would sleep in the office and sometimes they would like drink themselves to sleep. That's just so unhealthy, and it puts, you know, it's kind of nice. It's nice to have these articles because it's nice to remember that these are all human beings, that these are all just people. Now I know I myself have these rants, and I'm still going to criticize Black Ops 4. I'm still going to give my feedback on what I think about Black Ops 4. Don't get me wrong, I got some praises coming towards the zombie way. Don't you worry, I've got videos coming. I'm really happy with the videos I'm making, beautiful people, but it's nice to put these things into perspective, to say, this isn't the end of the world. Like, this isn't that big of a deal. The fact that factions aren't here yet, well, who cares? Because so long as these people at Treyarch are getting a good night's sleep, that should be the first step. That honestly should be the first step. They should take care of themselves first, honestly. And that's honestly kind of my stance on this, you know, for as anti-consumer Black Ops 4 has been, for as chaotic and kind of a horrible piece of the Call of Duty franchise it is, this really should be a wake-up call for both Treyarch and especially Activision, that you can't overwork people like this. This 3-year development cycle, this insanity that Activision demands from its developers and demands from its players too, with its money and its greediness. It's unhealthy, and it's going to be the downfall of the franchise, if you ask me. My hearts go out to the QA testers and developers to just, like, I don't know, do their best, man. Stand up for your morals, do what you love, and take care of yourself. I don't know, when you, like, this is all just fun and games, you know, this is just a freaking video game, guys. Like, this is not a big deal to many people's day-to-day lives. And so to hear that people are giving up their lives and putting their lives on the line, their health on the line for this, it's just kind of absurd. It's just kind of, it makes my heart sad. So it puts everything into perspective that, I don't know, they need to take care of themselves first, and that's not a healthy thing to do, all that stuff. So I don't know, that's my thoughts on all of this sort of stuff. You guys are getting a freaking long casual commentary. I know it's been a couple weeks, but beautiful people, I'm happy with my content coming up for you guys. So hopefully you guys are too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you made it this far, if you did enjoy, and until you next, hopefully absolutely beautiful Zombies morning or Call of Duty morning, I will catch up with you guys later. And as always, stay beautiful.